Alright, so Mr. Spiegelman, Art Spiegelman, talks here about, as I said, trauma and the wound, and how the lack of wound causes much more trauma to him as a second generation survivor. Okay. Let's go to the next page, 186, and this is, I think, where some of the genius in this work lies. Right here you see the form, right, of the mice of the Jews in the showers and them running out, and of course they're naked there, and you see there's a poll given that when they were giving uniforms, right, schnell schnell schnell, they were giving the uniforms and how they were attacked as well, and that they had how they would get the tattoos, okay, and how his dad still has the tattooed number on his arm. If we look at 187. Okay, all around was a smell so terrible I can't explain. Swedish, like rubber burning and fat. Okay, this is one of the limits of language, and I think we've kind of touched on that in the past, but I really want to talk about that now. And this could be something that y'all might want to discuss: is limits of language, and up until what is the limit of language? Is there something so horrible that's happened that there isn't language out there to describe it? And I think this is one of the ways, right? It's they can't explain the smell of the crematoriums, okay, because that's something that smells. It is just a very particular smell. Okay, you find out here in the second panel that they were told, hey, come on to the camp, it'll be okay, and turns out that was a lie. Of course, it was a lie. You find out at the bottom, the last panel at the bottom. But I saw again once the Poles would betrayed us. The Germans didn't need them, so they finished also in Auschwitz. Okay. If you let's look at 188 when he talks to the priest. I love this. This is almost magic realism here too, right? The second panel. Should I be happy? And this is Vlad Spiegelman writing. Should I be happy? Am I at a carnival? Let me see your arm. He was a priest. Your number starts with 17. In Hebrew, that's Kimyantov. 17 is a very good luck omen. He wasn't Jewish, but he was very intelligent. It ends with 13, the age a Jewish boy becomes man. And look, added together totals 18. That's Chai, the Hebrew number of life. I can't tell you if I'll survive this hell, but I'm certain you'll come out of this alive. I started to believe. I tell you, he put another life in me. And whenever it was very bad, I looked and said, yes, the priest was right. It totals 18. Okay, that's an amazing story there. Okay. Let's look at the next page, 189. Okay, I want you all to see his friend, Mandelbaum. Okay, my friend, but in Auschwitz, Mandelbaum was a mess. Okay, you see that? You see the way that the face is shaded, the uniform, it's too big for him, the shoes, the hat. Okay, this is the downtrodden, right? This is just a person whose entire life was taken away, but look at the way he's drawn, and I think that this is something that's very emotive in this work, is you pay attention to it. Okay, you pay attention to the background, to the way that this prisoner is drawn. Okay, and you find out here, right here in the last panel, my God, please God, help me and let me find a piece of string and a shoe that fits. But here God didn't come. We were all on our own. And a lot of pieces of Holocaust literature will talk about God and where is God, and where was that's a question that's asked, right? Where was God in Auschwitz? And the question is turned around, well, where was man in Auschwitz? If you ever read Night by Elie Wiesel, he talks about his relationship with God and what happened when his father died, and how he denounces God when his father dies. And he's young. I think he was 15 or 16, but still, it's very strong for him to say that. I think his dad was a rabbi, so it's even stronger that he would deny God. But these are I think valid questions that are asked. Okay, thinking when something bad happens to us, something unexpected happens to us, and this is of course something astronomical off the spectrum, but if something happens to you that's bad, you sometimes question your faith if you're a person of faith, and wondering where is God. And of course this is what what this prisoner does. Okay, the next page is chapter 2. This is the second part of Mouse Auschwitz and Time Flies. This is another graphic I wanted to show you. Okay, you have the crematoriums of mice being burned alive. Okay, and I thought that this was a very powerful graphic to see. Okay, the anguish in the faces of the mice right here. Again, this is just absolute brilliance and genius in the illustrations. I mean, you feel for these little mice. I told you, look at the cover with and I love to teach this in class because I'm able to show this on the huge screen. But look at the little faces and the little eyes and the little but nose. Okay, you just want to hold them and protect them. And right here, they're burning alive. I mean, do that. Okay, this is a new part, page 201. Vladik died of congestive heart failure on August the 18th, 1982. That's his father. Vladik started working as a tin man in Auschwitz in the spring of 1944. Okay, and this is himself drawing himself. This is very meta. Himself drawing the comic. Okay, so you see that he's wearing the mask. Okay, he's like wearing a Jewish mask. Okay, so you see that right here. And look at the last panel. At least 15 foreign editions are coming out. I've gotten 4 serious offers to turn my book into a TV special or movie. I don't wanna. In May of 1968, my mother killed herself. She left no note. And lately, I've been feeling depressed. One of the great criticisms of this novel, of this work, was that it tended to, he was making money off of Holocaust victims. So of course, this is why he drew this panel. And if you see outside the window, you see the guards tower outside the window. Okay. Let's continue on. The bottom of 202, where he has this surreal moment when people actually want to buy the book and want to market it. Okay, can you imagine if Disney were to get its hand on Mouse? Oh my gosh, I don't even want to think about that. What would happen? And actually, Mr. Spiegelman will not autograph this. They'll sell autographed copies that have already been autographed. They're really expensive, but he will not autograph personal copies. He refuses to do that with Mouse. Okay, so take that for what you will. Look at the bottom of 202. You'll see that there are panels, and Art is now a little boy. See? Wow. Okay. The next page, 203. They're gone. Sometimes I don't feel like a functioning adult. I can't believe I'm going to be a father in a couple of months. My father's ghost still hangs over me. Okay. So you see right here in the second panel, the first square in the second panel, he's looking out the window, and there's barbed wire. Okay, and he's walking out of there. The bodies are still laying around, and he goes to see his therapist. Okay, so he's like, "Hey, Art, come on in." He sees his therapist, and his therapist is also wearing, you'll notice, the mouse mask. Okay, the mouse mask, and so's Art, and they start talking about the experiences that he has writing. Okay. And if you look at the next page, the middle panel, no matter what I accomplish, it doesn't seem like much compared to surviving Auschwitz. But you weren't in Auschwitz, you were in Rego Park. Maybe your father needed to show that he was always right, that he could always survive because he felt guilty about surviving. And remember, the gentleman who he's talking to survived a concentration camp as well. Maybe. Then he took his guilt out on you, where it was safe, on the real survivor. So tell me, do you feel any guilt about surviving the camps? No, just sadness. And 204, that bottom panel, I want you all to see the face of the therapist. Okay, you see the little mask that he's wearing? Doesn't he look sad? Okay, brilliant, I'm telling you. Brilliant. I could sit here and I could go through every panel and find little things that Mr. Spiegelman put in. Okay, the next page, do you admire your father for surviving? Well, sure. I mean, I know there was a lot of luck involved, but he was amazingly present-minded and resourceful. Then you think it's admirable to survive. Does that mean that it's not admirable to survive? I see what you mean. It's as if life equals winning and death equals losing. Okay. Yes, life always takes the side of life, and somehow the victims are blamed, but it wasn't the very best people who survived, nor did the very best people die. It was random. I'm not talking about your book now, but look at how many books have already been written about the Holocaust. What's the point? People haven't changed. Maybe they need a newer, bigger Holocaust. Anyway, the victims who died could never tell their story, so maybe it's better not to have any more stories. Okay, again, the limitations of language. And right there on 205, yes, Primo Levi had said that the best died in Auschwitz. Okay, let's look at 206. The top panel, my book, what book? Part of me doesn't want to draw or think about Auschwitz. I can't visualize it clearly, and I can't begin to imagine how it felt. Auschwitz, boo! That's how it felt. It always felt a little like that, but always, the moment you got into the gate until the very end. Okay, and you'll notice that as he finishes chatting to his therapist, the panels go on and he gets bigger, and he's not wearing a mask anymore. Okay, so he's become that person again. Okay, that's the bottom of 206. Let's look at 258, because we're skipping quite a bit of it, but let's look at page 258. Okay, the very bottom, this is Art, his father and his Art's wife and his father are driving. Okay, this is part that has been very, very controversial. Okay, the very what do you stop, Francois? We're not yet to the bungalow. There's a hitchhiker. Oi, it's a colored guy. A Schwaster. Hi, quick, push the gas. Okay, and of course, he's American. He's just like a little dog. He's American. Thanks. It's a hot day for walking. And of course, Mr. Spiegelman, Vlad Spiegelman is saying this in Polish. She's lost her head. I can't believe this. There's somebody sitting there. Okay, and then they drop the little worker off. Okay, y'all take care now and be good. What happened? You were crazy, right? This is his reaction, and the father says, I had the whole time to watch out for the Shasta doesn't steal us the groceries from the back seat. Okay, this is something that I do like about how it's written, is it's written exactly the way Vlad Spiegelman would speak. Okay, so he comes from an Eastern European background, and he speaks English differently. So you see the way he says it? I had the whole time to watch out that this Schwaster doesn't steal us the groceries from the back seat. Okay, so you see how that's a little, it doesn't quite sound correctly. I mean, it's correct, but it doesn't sound correctly. That's the language pattern that he has. Okay, as I've told you, the Slavic languages and the Germanic languages are really different. Okay, and that's what he's doing. That's why sometimes when I'm reading it, I'm kind of tripping upon myself because my brain wants to fix it, even though there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, what? That's outrageous. How can you, of all people, be such a racist? You talk about blacks the way that Nazis talked about the Jews. Ugh, I thought really you were more smart than this, Francois. It's not even compared to the Schwasters and the Jews. Okay, so this part right here where he talks about that, and it's just, right here it continues on, but how dare you generalize and say that all blacks steal? It's just, you don't know them. Okay, so you see this right here, and this is a part that has been criticized by critics of this work, because they're like, well, he's making his father to be a horrible person, a very negative person. But what our Spiegelman is saying, he's like, look, this is what my dad was like. He doesn't make his dad into a saint. He doesn't sugarcoat his dad. They're like, no, this is what my dad was like. Okay, and of course you find out that he's going to make them lunch because they got to the bungalows. Okay. The next one is just a graphic. Again, I'm obsessed with these. Okay, that he was saved. You see the American flag in the American flag in the background, and then you see the mice wearing the Holocaust. The prisoner uniforms with Mr. Vlad Spiegelman here at the forefront. Okay. Let's look at this page right here. This is after the American occupation. Okay. So they're talking right here. That the Americans are here, right? Look at the top panel. Those crowds can't hurt you anymore. The only ones left are dead or dying. Okay, look at the little dog. You guys, y'all were dogs here. Look, there's a cute little dog. He's smiling. Okay, the second panel. This house will be part of our base camp. Okay, so there. But I can guess you boys can stay if you clean the joint. Keep the joint clean and make our beds. Okay, want some chocolate? Yeah, here, thanks. Next panel. So we worked for the Americans, and they liked me that I could speak English. Thanks for the shine, Willie. It's okay, Sergeant. Don't even mention it. And you see the dogs. Okay, you see the Americans are dogs, and they're different dogs, right? Different shades of dog, just different color shades, because we're all different. Remember, we've talked about this, but I just think it's adorable that we're the dogs, and we're different kinds of dogs too. Okay, they gave to us food cans and gifts and called me to Willie. So they called him Willie. So I keep wanting to call him Willie when his name is actually Vlad. Okay, so that's I love the scene. I love the fact that sort of the Americans come in and he starts talking to them because he speaks English to them. And they give him chocolate. I thought that was really sweet. Okay, the next couple of pages, 274, 275, 276, and 77. The only reason I put these in is so that you all could he talks about his family, the ones who made it and the ones who didn't. So for instance, right here you find out on the second panel on page 274 that Herman died of a hit and run accident. He died. And then you find out, oh, the two kids, Lolek and Lonia, stayed with us. Oh yeah, those are the ones. Lolek, you knew he came out of Auschwitz alive. Okay, that's cool, right? The little girl, she died with Rishu in the ghetto. Or this is Anya's brother, and this is Anya's brother right here, and he killed himself. So she starts giving them, all of the family tree, the memories. But unfortunately, for a lot of these, the only thing they have left are these photographs, and they're lucky to even have photographs because remember, a lot of the Jews were when they went out to the camps, took everything with them. So the Nazis would take the photographs and throw them away or burn them or stack them somewhere. So the fact that this family still has photographs is pretty amazing. Okay, so you think, right, that he starts talking about Anya's parents, the grandparents, Tosha, little Bish, little Rishu. Okay, all they have left is photographs. And that was it. And when Arch Spiegelman asked his dad at the top of 276, what about our side of the family? And the dad says, my side, my father fell on her 4 kids I told you got taken in 42, and that was it. They all died. My closest brother went to he went to the war as well. He died. My other brothers deserted them. They went to Russia. Okay, so he talks a little bit about his family as well and how they're still alive, but they are really lucky. These photos, the next page, 277, we got from the Polish governess. We gave her our valuables to hold until the war was over. But afterwards, she said all these valuables the Nazis grabbed away. We didn't believe her, but she gave us back the pictures. Remember that one lady who wouldn't take them in? Yeah, that was the lady they were talking about. Let's look at 294, and I took this just so that you all could get your ending because you all just want a good, happy ending. And yes, you all are going to get your happy ending. Finally, you get your happy ending here. You see that at 294, you see Mr. Vlad Spiegelman, very dignified in his clothes, right? It's a very nice headshot of him. Okay, it's a great headshot. And if we go to page, the last page we have here, guys, the top panel, when I finally came to Sosisnest, I had seen very little Jews around, but I found out where there was a Jew organization. There it was people that knew me. Look who's here. Somebody find Anya and bring her here right away. And somebody found her. Okay, and you have this wonderful scene of Vladek and Anya together. More I don't need to tell you. We were both very happy and lived happily ever after. Okay, and you find out that it really didn't. Anya does commit suicide in 68. He dies in 82. But the very end right here, let's stop the recorder, please. I'm tired of talking ratio. That's enough stories for now, okay? And that is it. I mean, that's the way it ends. And some ideas that came out of here are this access to survivors. How much access do we have to survivors? Some of these stories are too painful. They don't want to talk about them. Okay, then you have to respect that, okay? And this, I'm reading my notes here. And the story of FR being the replacement son is still going. I mean, he still has to deal with this. And the talk that he gave us, he talked about how he still deals with this idea of survivorship and what the survivors can take from what the second generation survivors can take from the original survivors. Okay, so this is Mouse, and like I said, this is not the ideal way of teaching it. Okay, my ideal way of teaching it is having that huge projector that we have in class, but we don't have it right now. So I have to stop here, y'all. I've talked for almost 2 hours. I'm really tired, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. So few things you all might want to discuss. Go ahead and post your discussion. No reader response this week, and I'll see you guys next week. Okay, have a good week. Remember to wear your masks.